evening, ladies as well as gentlemen, or at least good afternoon is the time when I am recording this. I have gone to bed, I've woken up, my girlfriend went out to her weekly stitching bitch. She knits with her friends, and I presume bitches, I don't know, I've never been there for it. So it's time for some Hearthstone. This is going to be a Druid run. Let's go ahead and protect those wilds. And we're starting off with only one playable card. Okay, I should clarify. Ancient Watcher is, I guess, playable. Druids do have a class-specific silence and two class-specific buffs that grant a creature taunt, making the Ancient Watcher playable. However, I still think it's a mistake to draft it unless you absolutely have to. We'll just grab the Imp Master here and call it a day. Okay, none of these are really all that good for Druids, so I'm going to take the Spiteful Smith just for the stats. The 4/6 revive is all it's going to be. I'd rather have that than the Golem. Okay, well, here's a bit of a tricky choice. The Druid of the Claw is a fantastic creature. It's like the Spiteful Smith, just better. It's a 4/6 with taunt, or 4/4 with charge. A little bit leery of taking 2 5-drops all in a row like this at the beginning of the draft, so it's tempting to take this Novice Engineer for some card draw. I think the Farseer is a bit too mediocre to really consider here, so it's between the Novice Engineer or the Druid. Both have their merits. The Novice Engineer might trade with an aggro creature, which is super great. It can get buffed by, say, a Shattered Sun Cleric or a Dark Iron Dwarf and trade with something else. The card draw it gives is nice, so you don't really mind throwing it down on turn 2 even if it ends up dying. So all these are points in favor of it. I'll take the Druid, though. I really like this card a lot. I'm beginning to really appreciate 4/6s for 5 mana, especially with the taunt. And, the charge is nice sometimes, too, if you need some finishing damage. Okay, well, Ironbark Protector is a card I would happily play, but Swipe is so important. I really don't think you can pass on those. Okay, well, here we have a garbage pack. This is about as close as I might ever come to taking Mad Bomber, but no, I'll take the Mogushan Warden instead. Okay, well, this is fine. I would take these guys if I had some kind of synergy with Swarm. I don't have any Frostwolf Warlords or anything like that. So what we'll do is we'll take the Imani Berserker because he's just really good. I would take this in another life, but I do already have 2 5-drops, so let's not go ahead and get too crazy here. Let's keep an eye on the curve. Okay, well, Shattered Sun Cleric is just an amazing fit with the Imani Berserker, turning it into a 3/4 that has Enrage. Frost Elemental, definitely playable, but I'm not going to pass on a Shattered Sun Cleric. Well, these are all absolutely playable cards. I'm always tempted by Wild Growth, that is for sure, but, I mean, these are pretty good. So this would be nice to have as another 4-drop, and this probably would be making me a little bit top-heavy here. I don't think I want to do that. Let's go ahead and grab the Wild Growth. I think if I have it now, then I'll be a little bit more comfortable about taking more Druid of the Claws and Ironbark Protectors and other things in the future. Okay, well, the Raid Leader's alright. Does go nicely with the Imp Master, for sure. Don't like this monkey very much. We'll take the Mark of Nature. I like this card a fair bit. It's won me some arena games. Wow, tough call here between Starfall and the Argent Commander. You might think I'm crazy, but I'm going to take the Commander, and the reason for that is it's just a more solid creature. You can play it under more circumstances. The Starfall, I mean, I don't want to do 5 damage for 5 mana, and the 2 damage across the board may or may not ever work. So you might think I'm crazy, and I certainly wouldn't take any other, I don't think I would take any other rare over a Starfall, but Argent Commander is just so freaking good and so consistent, and I'm learning to really appreciate the value of consistency. Not having cards in your deck that could ever be useless, which Starfall will sometimes just sit in your hand. Okay, so here, I don't think I want that Stormpike Commando. I played with him in my last run, and it proved to be pretty bad. The Gurubashi Berserker, definitely playable, so is Power of the Wild, though. The Gurubashi is very, very nice if you can put a Mark of Nature on it. So it becomes a 2/11 with Taunt that starts hitting harder and harder, and it's got a lot of health to chew through, which is an interesting consideration. Again, I don't really like taking this many 5-drops early on. We'll take this guy for some early plays, and it's also good in the end game. I just like Power of the Wild a whole lot. Okay, well, Archmage is decent with Swipe, as is any plus spell damage, and it's a big-ish creature. Soul of the Forest is actually really, really good with Imp Master. It makes me sad that I didn't take the Dragonling mechanic, because obviously the more swarming stuff you have, the better. And Mark of the Wild is a consideration as well. It's a pretty good card. Now, I already have Mark of Nature, so let's not go too crazy with these marks. Let's try Soul of the Forest here. I've had some people complain that I don't take that card ever. Okay, we'll take a Frost Elemental here for some endgame. I don't want 2 of these, and this is just a generic 2/3. So we'll take the Frost Elemental there. Okay, well, now that we have Soul of the Forest, this is a definite pick. We want as much Storm as we can get our hands on. Here, I'll just take the best creature I've got, which is the Scarlet Crusader. Nice 3-drop onto an empty board. Mark of the Wild, I mean, I'd play with 2 buffs, for sure. Mark of the Wild is very good with an Amani Berserker as well, as is Mark of Nature. So it's worth considering. I kind of like the Farseer here. I've learned to really appreciate having healing, and it's a good combo with the Imp Master. You can recharge your Imp Master, as it were, and get some more Imps out. So I'm going to take the Earthring Farseer for that 2-card synergy. Okay, Claw is good removal. I want the Swarm for the Soul of the Forest, but I think it's important not to pass on Claw, especially because I'm a little bit removal light at the moment. Okay, Shattered Sun Cleric number 2. Yeah, I'll do that. It's really good, even though it's violating curve a little bit. Okay, the healing would be nice, but I'll take a Starfire here. I'll happily take one of them. My curve is ending up not as top-heavy because I sort of aggressively underdrafted some endgame cards, and it'll be nice to have some endgame there. Okay, Savagery, yeah, it doesn't really work all that well in this deck. I don't have any bites, which are the easiest way to gain armor. Claw gains some armor, but it's a bit tenuous. Let's go ahead and grab the Pine-Sized Summoner. I don't like the Wild Pyromancer too much. It's just too many cases where you wish you didn't have it, and the Pine-Sized Summoner is nice because it can help get some of these creatures out earlier, and it forces your opponent to use removal. All right, we have a lot of 3-mana creatures, so I don't want the Worgen, but we could use some more Swarms, so I'll take the Murloc Tidehunter. Sen'jin, Shieldmaster. The Murloc Tidehunter number 2 would be great for Soul of the Forest, but let's not go too crazy with that. Let's go ahead and grab this awesome Sen'jin. Now, Savage Roar, hang on a minute. This is interesting to consider, because I do have a fair number of swarmy stuff here. I got the Tidehunter, the Imp Master, and the Dragonling Mechanic. So, yeah, I mean, it would be kind of nice to have this, like sort of the Shaman's version of a Bloodlust, for some, quasi-removal and spell damage. Or, it's not spell damage, just direct finishing damage. But, I don't know, Sen'jin is too good. I've only got 2 4-mana creatures. So I feel like this is just the best card to take. Okay, do I take this? Not really. Let's do the usual check to see if I have any combos with this. So, I mean, the Swarm creatures, kind of. Earthring Farseer, I could recharge my Imp Master, recharge Divine Shield, recharge the buff, recharge the Swarm, recharge the charge. There's recharge the charge. There's a lot, actually, of stuff here. I'll take the Panda over this second Power of the Wild. All right, here I think we ended up kind of passing aggressively, as it were, on 5-mana creatures rather than taking another Mark of Nature. Let's just go ahead and grab the Vengeful Mercenary. It can be really good. And here, Power of the Wild is tempting. I ended up with a fair amount of things to do on turn 2, though. So what I'm tempted by is the Ogre Magi for spell damage. It'd be nice to have one thing of spell damage in here to make Swipe better. But actually, besides that one swipe, and since I didn't take the Starfall, spell damage isn't as good as it could be. I'm just going to take the Windfury Harpy for some really aggressive late-game damage. Okay, this deck, let's see, do I need to take this to have Taunt? Well, I've got the Druid and the Sen'jin and the Warden. I guess I'm doing alright on Taunt. I don't feel like I need any more than that. The Berserker, like I said before, is really good with the Mark of Nature. So let's see what we're doing here on mana curve. 1, 2, 3 5s, and then 4 6s. I think we can fit this in over this card drawer. Do I dare take the Ironbark Protector? Yeah, I'll take one. That's fine. So this deck's going to have a bit of a big curve. And shoot. Frostwolf Warlord's getting a bit greedy because I'm starting to have a lot of 5-drops here. But man, would it be so great. I don't think this deck can support it, though. I've got, oh my god, 1, 2, 3, 4 5s. And then 1, 2, 3 5s. So if I take this, I'd have a third of my deck is 5 and up. I only have 1 Wild Growth to support it. Never saw any Innervates. God, I have so much Swarm in here, but I really think that this could be a disaster. I'm going to try it, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if I regret it. This, I think, is... I can't take this. My curve won't support it, so we got to take the Keeper of the Grove. Sorry, Sunwalker fans. I just can't do it. And let's see. Defender of Argus is good with my Swarmy stuff. Could use some more buffing. The Cobra, though, is nice just to have like a thing on the board that can remove stuff. This is a choice I've made before, and I've always gone with Defender of Argus and never regretted it. But, I mean, one of these other cards could be worth considering here just because I am sort of top-heavy in my curve. It'd be nice to have something that can drop early on and, trade with anything. Well, I don't know. I'm going to trust my instincts and grab the Cobra here. It's definitely a tough call, and perhaps I will regret not taking just the card that is in a vacuum better. But I feel like this deck, since it's a bit light on removal and a bit light on early plays, benefits more from a cheaper creature that can trade with anything than from the card that is better in a vacuum. So we'll see if I, tried to be too clever with my drafting, and if I regret that Cobra isn't the Defender of Argus. So this deck's alright. I think it's fine. I probably should have taken a few less expensive creatures. I just didn't expect to see so much endgame stuff in the last picks. Well, this is a pretty good start, actually. So what we'll do here is send that back. And let's see. So obviously I can Wild Growth on turn 2 and play one of these guys on turn 3. Or I can just even coin out the Wild Growth on turn 1. That's probably going to be the best. Yeah, that's the most efficient. So I'll Wild Growth on turn 1 with the coin. I can play one of these on turn 3, the other on turn 4. Let's go ahead and send one of them back. The problem with this deck is it has so much expensive stuff, I could just get even more expensive things in my hand. Let's send, man, who am I up against? A priest? Yeah, I'll send that back. See if we can get like a 2-drop or like a 3-drop. That would be ideal. Okay, well, that kind of works. Kind of. Don't play Northshire Cleric. Oh, thank you. Okay, so what we can do here is think. I can either coin out the Murloc Tidehunter and then Wild Growth on turn 2, or I can Wild Growth right now and then Murloc Tidehunter on turn 2. The advantage of Wild Growthing now is if I draw a 3-mana creature, like say a Scarlet Crusader, I can just play it right away. Whereas if I do this, then I have creatures on the board so I can trade with his stuff right away. It's a tough call, definitely. Go for the Wild Growth. I've had a couple of games in the past where I didn't play the Wild Growth, and then I had like other things to do, and I just never ended up playing it, and I really regretted it later on. So I don't know. I feel like I'm working around that, but we'll see. Perhaps I was being a little bit too passive there and should have just coined out the Tidehunter. Okay, so he's got a slow start, which I am more than fine with. Let's go ahead and play this. So because my opponent didn't do anything, it ended up being the same either way, except had I coined this out first, I would have dealt 3 damage to him now. Well, that's how it goes, I guess. I'm 3 damage short. We'll see if that makes a difference. Okay, it's a pretty good answer to what I played, because this guy will take out my 2-drop. I could play the Dragonly Mechanic. Man, I wish I'd... Oh my god, I wish I'd kept my Sen'jin Shieldmaster. That would have been a lot better against this guy. Here is how I will do things. Since I drew the Berserker, that gives me a very easy choice. What I'm going to do is Hero Ability to kill this, or to attack it. Use my big Murloc, trade in. I got an alternate play here. Now we're going to swing for 1 damage. Had I not drawn that Berserker, I don't know. It's hard to say what I would have done there. Probably just play this and trade my 2-drop into his 3-drop and accept, you know, defeat there. Really don't mind seeing that at all. He's just going 1 for 1 with me, which is fine. And he's healing up. So this is a very, very slow start for my priestly opponent. Gotta figure he's got some really good cards there. So the Vengeful Mercenary could die to a Shadow Word Death. What I'm going to do instead is play a Druid of the Claw. I'm going to go for the extra health. So even though I'm dealing 4 less damage to my opponent with that, I think the extra health could matter a lot, especially because this dodges a lot of priest removal, being 4 power. It even dodges Holy Fire. So, whoa, what is he pointing at it? Silence. Oh, okay. Well, that's... So he's going a card down, which is fine by me, I guess. And that thing is pretty unimpressive at the moment. Alright, I see what you did there. Okay, so he's going to make it into a 2-3. He'll get to kill my little scout. That's fine. And a Wisp. Whoa, he's... I don't know what's going on here. He's all of a sudden dropping down the aggro like on turn 5. Maybe he just doesn't have a good deck. We can certainly hope. Soul the Forest. Well, I think in light of that, let's go ahead and just keep it simple, keep it safe. We'll kill off this Wisp for totally free. I hope I don't need to elaborate on why Wisp is a bad card. And now, actually, on the next turn, with 7 mana, well, if I get a little bit lucky and get a 3-mana creature or less, I can actually play it and Soul the Forest, which would be pretty spectacular. Ancient Watch. Okay, I don't even know what a priest can do with this. Silence it? I guess if he silences it, that's, you know, pretty nice. Double Divine Spirit. Okay. Oh my goodness. Mind Blast! Alright, so he's playing with Ancient Watcher, Wisp, Silence, and Mind Blast. I'm beginning to think maybe this person isn't very good. Priests don't have any way to give this taunt. The only thing that he could possibly do is silence it, but that would also get rid of the health, so we are definitely up against a newbie. Well, that's fine by me. What we'll do here is very simple. I'm just going to play the Vengeful Mercenary. Swing at his face with my hero ability. And we'll swing with our other creatures as well. There is absolutely... Oh, wait, no, he could play Defender of Argus. All right, that's it. He could play a Defender of Argus. That would give this taunt, or like a Sun Fury Protector. But actually, I got this thing now, so I'll be able to deal with it pretty easily. Unless he has like a Sun Fury Protector and a Shadow Word Death. Ah, he's going to silence it. So now that gets rid of the health. So he's gone like 3 cards down with this thing. He's given it... He played it, And then he played the health, and then he played the silence. And then he played another Mind Blast. So, yeah, this guy... well, you know what? It's fine. Like, I've had enough bad games. I think I'm due for a little bit of luck. Alright. Mark of Nature, I'm just tempted to use it for the attack at this point, honestly. Yeah, let's not put all of our eggs in one basket. Let's go ahead and Mark of Nature on this thing. Let us hero ability and claw to kill off his creature, because why not? Oh, could I have killed him? I probably could have killed him. I could have killed him. What am I doing? That was a mistake. I apologize, folks. I forgot to look for the win. I, instead of doing hero ability and... Oh, no. I didn't have enough mana, did I? I had only 5 mana. I was thinking I could Starfire, but I didn't quite have enough. I don't think. Anyway, it doesn't matter in this case. So that was a bit of a new player. I guess, I mean, I think we're getting closer and closer to open beta. It looks like a lot of people are getting into the beta here. I've got a lot of people commenting on my channel noting that they have made it into the beta, and that priest, I hope he doesn't give up. I hope he sticks with it. He, you know, he was pretty bold with that Ancient Watcher. He was trying to do some fancy stuff, but if you're a priest playing with the Ancient Watcher, you should not buff its health unless you're like playing a Power Word Shield and you're desperate for a card, because unless you're going to give it Taunt with one of the neutral creatures, the only thing you can do is give it Silence, and then if you give it Silence, the health goes away as well. Also, don't play with Mind Blast. It's a terrible card. Srask the Druid. Alright, well, we need to keep the 3-drop here, I think. I might have to just play this as a 3/3 for 3. That's just how my deck rolls, unfortunately. Ooh, well, I hope he doesn't have any Wraths for that Berserker. We'll see. I hope he also doesn't coin out a 3/2, because that would be a bit sad, but... That's what happens, is what happens. I never saw any Wraths, did I, huh? That's a bit sad. Ah, he's got a coin move. That's sad. What do we got here? Novice, well, all things considered, that's not the scariest thing. So Novice Engineer plus hero ability does not kill my Money Berserker. He needs an Abusive Sergeant, or he needs a Wrath, or like a Claw or something else. He needs some help beyond what he already has to get rid of my creature. Ooh, he looks like he does not have it. Unless he has... Nope. Unless he has 2 Moonfires. But no, it's not going to happen, I don't think. Okay, so here, I think what I'm going to do is just... Yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and kill off his bigger creature. And I'm going to then play a Shattered Sun Cleric. So the idea behind this is that now the Novice Engineer cannot just kill this by herself. He has to have help from his hand, either a Moonfire or like a Claw or a Wrath or something or other. And I still put a 3/3 on the board, so it's not even the end of the world if he does have the removal. Most likely I will play the Earth Ring Farseer, waste some of the healing next turn, but just to get a 3/3 on the board, it's worth it. Not the best use of the Farseer, and that honestly wasn't the best use of a Shattered Sun Cleric, but still think putting a 3/3 on the board with some value, namely making him work for it to kill this creature, is definitely better than nothing. If you ask enough questions, eventually your opponent will run out of answers. Alright, he's got a Loot Hoarder. Oh my gosh, if this thing actually gets to live, that would be kind of spectacular. Oh my god, it's actually going to get to live. That is crazy town. Well, I got a couple of options here. I think what I'm going to do is just clear his board, right? Yeah, here we go. Let's go ahead and armor up. Kill the Loot Hoarder. Kill the Novice Engineer. Play a Pine-sized Summoner and swing for 6. Now, obviously here, the sort of elephant in the room is Starfall. But he used his coin on turn 1 for the Novice Engineer, which, by the way, is not a play that I'm a really big fan of. If he had a Loot Hoarder in his hand, unless he top decked it, I would have preferred... I would personally prefer to coin a Loot Hoarder out rather than a Novice Engineer. But anyway, here I'm very vulnerable to Starfall, but since he used his coin, he can't play it yet, and I'm pretty safe from Swipe. That's actually a pretty good card under the circumstances. He's threatening to kill a bunch of my creatures off. Okay, well, here, what I need to consider, I mean, I have a lot of options here. So one option is to hero ability, kill the Dragonling, use the Shattered Sun Cleric, buff my Shattered Sun Cleric, kill off the Dragonling mechanic. Then I'm still a bit vulnerable to Starfall. This Shattered Sun Cleric that I just played will be the only thing that survives, but I will have gotten him down to 16 health, which is no laughing matter. Option number 2, I could actually play this Wind Fury Harpy a turn early thanks to the Pint-Sized Summoner, which is representing a lot of damage. And I could just go for the throat. I mean, I could just swing at him for 11, take him down to 13, and I'm threatening another 8. So how well could a Druid deal with that at 5 mana? Well, he could play Starfall, get this down to 3 health, and trade his other creatures into it, and then the board would be clear. So I'm not a super big fan of that. I'd rather play something that will actually survive. Now what I could do is I could play Shattered Sun Cleric and Earthring Farseer, and what that would let me do is actually heal this guy up, so it would also survive a Starfall. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do this. What we'll do is... Oh, no, I'm not. Well, balls. Let me think about this. This... You know what? Let's do like this. And I'm going to actually trade my Pint-Sized Summoner for that Dragonling, to stop the Dragonling from killing off my 6/2 Berserker. So this Berserker is actually crazy. It's hit him twice. This is why I call it the best 2-drop in the game. So trading in the Pint-Sized Summoner, I could have killed the instead of playing the Farseer, I could have used Hero Ability to kill the Dragonling. However, then I would have had only 1 creature that survives against a Starfall. Instead, notice how I have 3 creatures that survive against Starfall, and I'm extremely swipe-proof, so this is just very difficult for him to deal with. Alright, he's going to make the taunt, but oh my god, I mean, this is insane. Right, this is clearly insane here, what I'm doing. I'm trading in my 2-drop for his 5-drop. Can I actually beat him this turn? Starfire, yeah, not quite enough. I could do this, and then, what is this? 7, 10, 15. Yeah, I'm close, but not quite able to kill him. Well, basically, I just played creatures and won. Play creatures, win the game, so we're threatening lethal damage in a number of different ways. Not only do I have more than enough on the board, but I've got Starfire and Claw and Hero Ability in my hands. So I don't know what a Druid could even do here to hang in there. That's not really good enough. But I don't know what else, how do Druids do board clear against this? Unlike a Paladin who, like, at least has a chance of, like, Consecration Equality, Druids don't really have anything to deal with that. Alright, well, this is pretty straightforward. I just Starfire on the Senjin. And that is going to be that. So the Wind Fury Harpy was just extra. Could have passed on the last turn and still won. That was a pretty strong win. So, strong start to this arena. Like I said at the beginning, I think this deck is okay. It's a bit of a risky deck because of the expensive end of the mana curve might make me lose some games just to bad draws. But, as you can see, it was pretty strong there. Now, my Priest opponent in Game 1 was definitely new. The Druid opponent, I'm not sure. It really depends on whether or not he had the Loot Hoarder in his opening hand. Because if he had the Loot Hoarder in his opening hand and chose instead to coin out the Novice Engineer, that was a mistake. And it cost him the game, pretty much. Because if he had coined out a Loot Hoarder, then on turn 2, he could have played Hero Ability, whack my Berserker, run the Loot Hoarder in, kill it, draw a card. And then that Berserker, that Berserker did 12 damage to him. It killed a Loot Hoarder, did 12 damage, and then killed a Senjin. It was just the most freaking ridiculous thing for 2 mana. So, had he just played a little bit differently, it could have turned the whole game around. So, he might have been a new player. But then again, he might have also just top-decked a Loot Hoarder, 2 Loot Hoarders in a row. It's possible. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and/or subscribe. And if you want to see how this arena run ends, then stay tuned. The rest of the games are going to be coming up shortly. I'll see you then.